Good evening and welcome to one and all for this webinar series on scope and opportunities of airspace, defense, maritime, GIS and remote sensing laws. It's a series for continuation of 5 days. So yesterday we have done on aviation. Today we are going to look at the kind of opportunities are in the defense sector, particularly with private participation in the defense industry. So the moderator for the series and of course today's webinar is Group Captain Naidu, Anand Naidu sir. So he is adjunct faculty the Nalsar Center for Aerospace Defense Laws. Earlier he worked with Indian Air Force for 35 years, various capacities, and also right now he is also having consultant to many multinational companies, including he has his own Akash law firm, and he is helping the Nalsar for last 6-7 years. Sir, actually is part of our aviation courses. Earlier we started with the diploma and masters courses. So Group Captain Naidu sir is helping a lot to the Center for Aerospace Defense Nalsar, and he's also again teaches. His specialization is safety, security, again maritime, including the cyber. Nowadays, he is helping the various governments in making the policy relating to cyber related cyber security. So with this small introduction, brief introduction, sir, now hand over to you. So it's your sessions.
Thank you very much, sir, and very good evening to everyone. Most importantly, the guest of the day, whom I will introduce a little later. Thank you, Professor Balkeswar Reddy. You've been my teacher, and all respects to you and the visionary that you are to create a center. Initially, the Center for Aerospace and Defense, Air and Space Laws, and thereafter, of course, now CASL to CADL, Center for Aerospace and Defense Laws, expanding the horizon of these laws into the defense sector, seeing the need for the defense sector and the defense law to be given that kind of impetus. That's something which you envisioned, and fortunate that the Nalsar University has actually expanded the scope of these security laws into defense laws. There are so many things that are happening as far as the procurement, as far as the international laws are concerned in the defense sector, the imports, exports. Of course, on top of it, we have our own Made in India and Atmanirbhar policies that are there. They all intermingle and they all interact with each other to create whole lot of space as far as the defense laws are concerned, whether it is for the lawyers, whether it is for the other practitioners who are into the defense sector. Now, most importantly, when we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat, the self-reliant India, it's not just a slogan. Make in India, it started with that. Thereafter, we moved on to Atmanirbhar. That means initially started taking baby steps, probably into manufacturing, creating manufacturing as the main focus rather than the services as the main focus. I always keep telling people that we have been an IT behemoth for a long time. People are there in IT sector in every country and every industry. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to convert that into the products. We haven't been able to convert that into manufacturing more of it, rather than it's only services. There are many opportunities, but despite that, we have only been importing equipment there, including in the defense sector. When it comes to the softwares, when it comes to the hardwares, we import. That is one level. The other level is every other equipment. We have been counted amongst the top importers in the world for so many years. There is a need for us to get the latest technology, latest equipment. But does it mean that we have to import everything? As the speaker rightly pointed out at some stage earlier in one of his articles, that the British wanted India to be relying on them as far as the equipment is concerned. They allowed us to make some gunpowder here and there, some saddles and some minor equipment to be manufactured in India. Does it have to continue for long? Do we have to actually continue doing that forever? This is a question that I think rightly was addressed and is being addressed by the present government. Focus on Atmanirbhar, self-reliant India, as far as the defense manufacturing sector is concerned. Lot of steps have been taken. we must. I personally, I thank Nalsar University and Professor Balkrishna Reddy for starting this series of webinars. Last year we had similar series. We had given an update on what was happening till then. I think the last 1 year, despite Corona and all the disruption that has happened around in the defense sector, we have had a lot of skirmishes, lot of things that have happened in the northern border. We have today lot of issues that are there on our western border as well. There are situations which are not the way we want them to be for whatever reason. I mean, whether we are contributing to bringing peace or not is subsequent action, but the situation has developed that has a lot of things as far as our thinking towards the manufacturing and being self-reliant in defense sector is concerned. And I think the government in power today is rightly aligned towards making that happen. May not be today, but tomorrow. Like, if the government has the boldness to set a target of 20 billion US dollars of manufacturing or defense production over the next 5 years, it is a statement. It is a statement that impacts all of us, whether we are in the defense sector or not. It impacts every one of us. One, we will be saving, at least at the lowest level, we will be saving a lot of taxes because otherwise the money would have gone to international manufacturers, foreign manufacturers. At least that part is taken care at the lowest level. At the highest level, there is much more that is going to happen as far as this target of 25 billion US dollars for the defense production is concerned. Out of that, 5 billion is the target for exports. Huge target. But yes, I think we are working towards that. Unfortunately, the FDA has been a little low as far as this last 1 year, 1.5 years is concerned, because of the mood, because of the situation and the ecosystem that we are operating in. But we have done a lot of things which are in the right direction. Whether it is DRDO, making available the COVID drugs when we badly needed them, or the Oxycare that the DRDO labs have produced, the activation or energizing of the defense corridors in Tamil Nadu as well as in Uttar Pradesh. Very important thing, IDEX. IDEX has been quietly doing a lot of things. 500 crores earmarked for 5 years to the startups. Trust me, anyone who has an idea worth its use, its salt, so to say.
Sorry for interruption, sir. He is the man behind that.
Yeah, that's what I'm coming to, sir. That's what I'm coming to. So, thank you, sir. So, IDEX is there to hold his hand. If you have, any of you have an idea which is good, IDEX is there to hold your hand. How that has come? That has come because of a lot of people working behind the scenes. And of course, we have our speaker. He is one of those who has actually worked very hard to get those things in place as DZ weapons and equipment, and subsequently also. And I'll speak about him subsequently. And self-reliant India cannot be possible without the startups being successful. And startups in manufacturing. I think yesterday's webinar, we were talking about 200 startups in the UAV sector, the drone sector alone. 200 startups. Now imagine how many more are on the lineup, and they will all take off. 6 submarines, they have been approved by the defense minister. Modernization at 6,000 crores. I mean, you name a thing in defense sector, I think it's undergoing a change. I am very actively involved defense secretary. One word I want to just put in a word here. The kind of person that we have as defense secretary, Dr. Ajay Kumar. He's on LinkedIn with me, and the kind of updates that he keeps giving on activities that are happening. A lot of things are happening as far as the manufacturing sector in India is concerned. Whether it is drones, whether it is vehicles for the defense sector, all of those, including the bigger things that are there, for blades for the helicopters and things like that. Yes, there are many steps that we need to take as far as reaching that self-reliant status is concerned. It's a plan, it's a vision, it's a work in progress as far as India is concerned. It's not that it can happen overnight, but all of us All of us have a role to play indirectly, some of us directly, as far as that ambition, that vision is concerned in reaching that destination. Now, coming to the speaker today, Lieutenant General A.V. Subramanian. General Subramanian, an EME officer, uh, electrical and mechanical engineers corps, and trust me, all the equipment that serves the army goes through their workshops, goes through their labs, goes through their units. Everything is maintained by them, supported by them. Actually, there are many innovations that come out of those workshops which are not known to many people. Actually, it's in the army, that is the system, that it's not publicized outside, but quietly the innovations are done. Quietly, the modernization, the upgradation, the small little changes that are supposed to be done, they all are done. And he has been at the forefront of EME Corps. He has been the colonel commandant of that corps. Very, very highly sought after and respectable honorary position, though. But it speaks volumes of his contribution to the service, to the army. And of course, his major contribution has been as DZ weapons and equipment, when he has been associated with refining the procurement policies for the country. That's something, defense procurement. Every time there is a controversy about the process that comes out because of the vested interest, that is perfectly all right. Controversies must be there. It's okay. At one level, it is good also. At least there is debate going on. There are people discussing about those things. That's okay. That we don't have to worry. But the best part is we have today a system and a policy which is quite viable and highly workable. That credit, I think, sir, in 2013, your contribution towards that has been immense. Thank you very much for that. And I know you have been participating in various think tanks. You are part of it. You are also associated with Rashtriya Raksha University. Of course, Nalsar itself, you have been visiting faculty for a long time. Thank you so much for sparing your time and coming. And we are looking forward, all of us, to share some thoughts that you will be sharing with us. We will take away and also ask a lot of questions to you as far as this defense sector is concerned. Of course, Professor Balkeshwar Reddy, we will also request you, sir, to tell the opportunity, to lay out the opportunities that lay ahead in front of the curious participants as far as this defense sector is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, first I'll request our speaker for the day, Lieutenant General A.V. Subramanian, to speak. Thereafter, of course, Professor Balkeshwar Reddy will speak for a little while, and then we will open for the question answer session. With that, sir, over to you, General Subramanian. Thank you very much, sir.
Good evening to you. Good evening to all the participants for this evening. I thank Group Captain Anand Naidu for the kind introduction. I thank the Registrar of Nalsar, Dr. Balkeshwar Reddy, for having given me an opportunity to address this August gathering. I am very conscious of the fact that there are more than 100 are there online. So that means every minute that I take is to be multiplied by that many numbers, and hence I need to make it worthwhile for all of you. Like Groupie has already told us that India is now poised for a major change. In the opening slide that you might be seeing on your screens, I have tried to capture as to how India is proposing to address the requirement of defense exports. Earlier, the defense export itself was not permitted, and we were not there in the scene at all. But now we are counted as the 19th largest defense exporting country. We are not interested in warmongering, but we are definitely interested in a neighborhood which can safeguard our interest and take care of their interests. And in that process, we will develop weaponry and systems which we will constantly be improving and will be sharing with all those partner nations of ours, particularly in our neighborhood, because unless the neighborhood is strong, our walls will definitely get knocked, and we are not very keen on those things happening. Towards that, the government has made all the defense public sector units to establish liaison officers in as many countries as possible. Apart from this, they have also asked that defense attaches connected with our diplomatic missions to act as ambassadors and also diplomatic missions to work towards the export opportunities of our defense. This map, in the colorful way, it is primarily capturing as to how the world over that now we are talking about the potential of India to emerge as a supplier for defense equipment. That opens multiple opportunities for us. So that is the one that we need to understand. In this slide, I am trying to talk about the characteristics of government acquisition. We make use of a terminology which is called monopsony. Monopsony, as the picture that I have captured in this, is contrasted with monopoly. Monopoly is having a hold over the complete business, which is business house centric, whereas monopsony is the customer centric, that there is only one customer and that customer is dependent upon multiple businesses, multiple manufacturing entities. Defense is a typical example of that. Government is the owner, he is the operator, he is the regulator, and he is the customer. And hence, defense has this monopsony characteristics. And in this characteristics, when we are operating, we need to have standards for ethical conduct, the laws of ethics and the regulations, because we are spending public money and that public money is accountable, and that accounting method will get scrutinized by the comptroller and the auditor general. And hence, we need to have ethical laws, open regulations. Conflicts of interest must be clearly laid down and must be resolved. And there will be restrictions in obtaining and disclosing certain information because they are connected with the security of the nation. There will be penalties and there will be remedies for anybody who is erring on many things. And the intellectual property data and rights are all major issues. All these issues which you are talking, the bulleted points which are there, give rise to issues in the law. And that's where I am expecting all those who are participating in this seminar to be involved and to understand this and to play their role so that the government can perform this monopsony function that it is called upon to do. There are many laws which control the defense acquisition. The way in which the country goes about equipping its armed forces is through a process called a defense acquisition. In this defense acquisition, there are statutory laws and there is a predominant law of contract which talks about the law of agency, also has the authority to contract, and also there are very many rules and the interpretation of the contractual provisions and any adjudication that may occur because of this. And hence, apart from the statutory law, the law of contract plays a very predominant role. Like I said in the previous slide, ethics will always be an underlying theme because it is the government which is conducting the business, and hence ethics will play a very major and an important role, and it needs to play that role. We must allow it to play that role. Common acquisition versus defense acquisition procedures, we need to understand that there are issues. In defense acquisition procedures, there will always be centrality of the contract that is finally governing the acquisition. And in that contract, as to how do you actually figure out what is in scope, what is out of scope when the contract gets executed. When the government desires certain changes, and those changes as to how they are brought about, how they are called as constructive changes and they are accommodated within this. What is an equitable adjustment as to whether the contractual terms in terms of the payables, if they are to be adjusted, what is an equitable adjustment? How the inspection of the products get carried out and how does the inspection get satisfied? In multiple contract laws, there are liability issues. When the liabilities are concerning with products which have been supplied to the national armed forces, those liability issues may be taken and may be softened to a large extent because it is the government which has really facilitated those equipment to be handed over to the troops. But when it becomes an international export issue, these liability issues can play a very significant role. And the liability laws and the liability governance and the extent of liability and the openness or the closeness or the limitedness of liability, all of them can really dictate the way in which the contract will get executed. And this liability is, in my experience, what I have found is that is less understood. Many times when liability issues are brought about, I have found that the law gets interpreted by foreign consultants who come there and interpret the things for us, because we need to understand it. We are exporting, and hence international laws and agreements also come into play. And I am believing that with this Nalsar initiative, we will find more and more of Indian minds will actually understand and then relate to the liability issues and then governance for the future. Because if you are going to be supplying defense systems to the world, the liability issues will be a central issue we need to understand and then address it. Aerospace, when it comes up, the liability concerns really take further dimensions. Because you have an object which is actually flying, and that object can land in foreign countries if it is an aviation one, and if it is a space asset, then it is occupying a location in space, and the issues which are connected with its performance, the way in which it will actually be brought out of action, who has got lien over what property which is in space, what will be called as the debris and what will not be called as the debris, all of them are issues. Nalsar is definitely blessed with the registrar, Dr. Balkisar Reddy, who is a specialist in this kind of an area, and I'm sure that with his guidance, we will get a lot of insights into this, and this is an emerging area. Today and yesterday, I had been part of an international seminar which is primarily addressing the space-related issues which are coming out in this country because the space has been opened out for private participation. Some of those liability concerns connected with satellites were a point of discussion today when we were in that seminar during the earlier half of this day. Whenever there are contracts, there will be issues connected with terminations. Terminations may happen because of default. Terminations can happen because of convenience. All these issues are legal issues, and in your curriculum that you will be understanding many of these issues, and these things will take us further. No country can stay in isolation, nor can India be. And hence, India is a member of major multilateral export control regime. Wassenaar Agreement, Australia Group, Missile Technology Control Regimes, and the Nuclear Supplier Group, the UN Security Council Resolution 1540, in which we are participating as a signatory for non-proliferation, the Chemical Weapon Conventions, the Biological and Toxic Weapon Conventions, all of them play a very significant role. Because of that Wassenaar arrangement, India is subscribing to the SCOMET list, about which I will speak a little later. And that control list will actually define as to what we can export, what we will not export, what is the single military use component, and what is the dual use component, and how the dual use components are held, how single use components are understood. All of them might have technology content into that, but the interpretations of the laws governing and the international agreements governing this are the ones which actually set the stage. The many in this audience, after they graduate from here, will be addressing these issues for the national companies and also for the international organizations, including that of UN and that of our government. I spoke about SCOMET. SCOMET particularly stands for Special Chemicals, Organisms, Materials, Equipment and Technologies. A mouthful, but this SCOMET is the one which has got many lists associated with it. And in those lists, we have those which are governing dual use items. That is the second bullet point in which I have mentioned about what is a dual use item. And focus on regulating export of dual-use ammunition and munitions, which are given in this list. Export of SCOMET item is either prohibited or sometimes it is restricted or sometimes it is exempted. Which item is prohibited, why it is prohibited, why it is exempted, why it is partially exempted, and the partial exemption, what is the jurisdiction of that partial exemption, in which all the countries this is applicable, how many countries have really joined Wassenaar. Because of that Wassenaar countries, when you are dealing with them, you can have this list. What do you do with non-Wassenaar countries? All of them are legal issues. And these legal issues go deeper in many of these international dealings and particularly connected with the export. And presently, SCOMET authorization is by our Directorate General of Foreign Trade and the Department of Defense Production, Department of Atomic Energy. They have got special cells which are addressing these requirements. During your curriculum, you will be exposed to this. Experts will be talking to you about this, and many of you, after graduating, will be probably advising many entities which are connected with this SCOMET list. The Wassenaar members are these 41 countries as of now, and these countries are expanding. So that means if you understand Wassenaar agreement, if you understand SCOMET, you can do business in any of these countries. That you could be advising any of these countries who are there in this Wassenaar, and those countries wanting to do business with India or with Indian entities also, one can actually deal with. The Wassenaar membership is increasing day by day. It may not be restricted only to this 41, it will increase further. Whenever there is a SCOMET is to be applied for, and whether exemption or partial exemption is to be sought, that there is a procedure. And this procedure primarily gets driven with the contents of the agreement's terms and conditions. This procedure needs to be understood, and many of you will be making applications for these procedures and will be defending your case in front of the SCOMET approving authorizing authorities, and then saying SCOMET approval that you will be getting. These are all many things which are connected with the tangible transfer of information technology. There is an intangible technology transfer which is connected, particularly when you are in the cyber domain. And there are many issues which are intangible. And in military and defense terms, when you are doing intangible transactions, the legal issues which are connected with them become very complex. And hence, the cyber security, cyber laws, and that interpretation, and the intangible technology transfer, assets transfer, becomes a specialist area, and in which also I do believe that many of you who have cyber background would be very interested in, and you will be developing your knowledge and your expertise in these areas. Startup ecosystem, about which it was spoken, a very important one, and India has taken many initiatives towards the startup, because the technology advancement envelope is possible only because of the startups. And the startup seed fund, when you are eligible for the startup seed fund, who is eligible, how the startup can really leverage these portions, how a capital could be made available to the startups. Since startups are mostly technology-driven companies, they need a legal envelope to guide them. In many of those initiatives that have been taken, about which IDEX, with which Groupie Anand Naidu is associated with, I have been associated with them as a mentor. And in the mentorship, some of those things, apart from technology, many issues are legal issues. And those legal issues are to be resolved because we are making use of a technology. It has got patent issues, intellectual property rights, and whether it is under Wassenaar list or not, and whether the country from where you are actually dealing with, that country is acceptable to our country or not. To what extent can we actually deal with that kind of a country? All those issues come up. And hence, we will be having many of you after your graduation working with the startup ecosystem, particularly state-supported startup ecosystem. Indian defense manufacturing sector is becoming vibrant more and more day by day. I'm also part of the Society of Indian Defense Manufacturers, where I head the technology and the research and development committee. I'm privy to some of those intricate discussions which go on with respect to technology transfers, with respect to technology acquisitions, and our own generated technology, which is embedded into the weapon systems, which are prone for export. And like it was said, we will be rapidly growing in this area, and we export of military hardware is expected to be $5 billion, about which it was mentioned. All of them are not just mere numbers, they are all becoming realities day by day. And we have got 333 private companies which have been issued with 539 industrial licenses, out of which 110 companies have commenced production, which are major companies. I am expecting in the next 2 years term, this number will swell beyond the 300 number. And those 300 companies, all of them require compliance officers, and those compliance officers are primarily with this legal knowledge. And this legal knowledge is not coming by. And I find that many companies are asking me, and unfortunately, I've got to run either to Bangalore or to Mumbai or to Delhi to get hold of such kind of knowledge, such kind of specialist knowledge. Hyderabad is definitely emerging as a hub for this kind of a knowledge now. And we need to join, we need to make enough of workforce available so that all these 300 companies can have an intrinsic compliance officer, because that is a law-wise necessity to be satisfied. Capital acquisition is being now set aside for indigenous design and development. There have been positive lists which is prohibiting import. 209 platforms and items have been identified. The make-to procedure has become a very vibrant kind of a procedure by which the private companies can participate in defense and development portion, in which it is funded by the government or funded by the industry. All of them demand many contracts to be signed where we require workforce. We are also interested in the IDEX about which we spoke. And apart from IDEX, there is a portal that has been launched, which is called the Region portal, in which all the defense public sectors and the ordnance factories, they are all putting up their requirements for indigenization. And this Region portal is a gold mine of information for anybody who is wanting to do a startup, the MSME who is really wanting to participate in this. In all of them, there are contractual obligations and intellectual property issues which need to be resolved, where our developed students will actually be contributing and advising. There is a model which is called the strategic partnership model, which got inducted into the defense acquisition procedure. It was in the defense procurement procedure of 2016. It has been embedded further in the defense acquisition procedure of 2020. The strategic partnership model is the one which is primarily driving many of the large units who will be producing, including the submarines, aircrafts, the C-295 aircraft, which the CCS cleared on 8th of September, the 6th submarine project, which was cleared earlier, about which it was earlier it was mentioned. All of them come under this strategic partnership platform-related programs. In this strategic partnership, major platforms are to be produced within this country, and in this foreign collaboration is sought after. And because there is a foreign collaboration, the legal issues connected with this foreign collaboration, the special purpose vehicles which are floated onto this, the tenure of such special purpose vehicles, and the connected contractual obligations of this, all of them come within the legal ambit of it. We will be studying about it during this course, and this will give us huge leverage as we go by. And we have the Uttar Pradesh and the Tamil Nadu defense corridors. Both the corridors are very active, and over the period of time, both the governments, Tamil Nadu government, Uttar Pradesh government, are infusing considerable amount of capital inside these corridors. I do believe that the firms which will come up in these corridors in Uttar Pradesh and Tamil Nadu will definitely be leaders in the defense ecosystem for the future. And that brings me to the huge amount of opportunities. Emerging private industry, more than 200 large enterprises are going to be there, and they are all going to be demanding a legal advice for them. The reoriented public sector and the corporatized ordnance factories are no longer going to be looking into government only to be the legal department of the Ministry of Law to be providing all their advice. Now they've got to be looking outside for this kind of an advice. And now we have got foreign OEMs who are lining up, be it the Boeing, be it the Lockheed Martin, be it the Airbus Defense, be it Thales or Safran. All of them are trying to get into this business of Atmanirbhar Bharat and trying to help India to achieve its Make in India goals. With all these things, all the foreign OEMs are looking forward to help and guidance. I'm sure that Nalsar supported, Nalsar aided the defense laws and its applications with the aerospace and the naval applications of these defense laws will equip all those who are participating in this course curriculum to contribute their might for India to emerge as an Atmanirbhar nation for its own defense production. Thereby, it keeps the wealth of the defense production development within this country and also become an export hub for the whole world. We will be connected with this, will be the space one. In the space, we are also aspiring to be an export hub for all the space entities. All of us who will be connected with this have a very bright future. I thank you for this opportunity. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir. That's so much within so short a period. In fact, really packed with detailed information very lucidly. Thank you so much, General Subramanian, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, before I take on the questions and we start the question answer session, I request Professor Balkrishna Reddy to say a few words as far as the program and how it's going to be useful. What General has already laid out are the broad opportunities available and where all you can actually look for opportunities and how those opportunities can be explored through certain programs that are launched by the Nalsar University. This is what I request Professor Balkrishna Reddy to please explain so that the participants, in case if they wish to join, of course, it's up to them. The information that has been given by the General is so very useful that whether they join or not, it is immaterial. It is absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much, because there are many aspirants here who are senior people who are transiting into the second career. There are people who are into startups. There are people already in the MSME sector in the defense realm. So I think all of them will find your information very useful, and Professor Balkrishna Reddy can actually navigate into the programs that are available and explain to them what is on offer. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Over to Professor Balkrishna Reddy.
Thank you, sir. Let me first, thank Subramanian sir. Wonderful, lecture which thrown, a lot of open ideas to the participant. And particularly, sir, I am offering a course on law of aerospace defense startups. Lot of my students are sitting in this class, and they immensely got benefited with your lecture. So that is what. So Naidu sir, actually, oftenly I get a lot of questions, even today also. Is it Nalsar a private university or government? Is it have a recognition? These kind of questions normally people are asking. I wish to inform you that it is a proper university established by an Act 34 of 1998 with the objectives of producing professionally competent, technically sound and socially relevant lawyers. That is our idea. So when it comes professionally competent, no doubt, Nalsar students are, yesterday you people have seen. And last one is that, socially relevant lawyers. We get a lot of criticism against this, sir. I wish to inform you also, you are not producing socially relevant lawyers. Your students are going to corporate and they are helping corporate. Of course, we as an institution, our role is to impart knowledge. What kind of path, which, area they choose, it's up to them. But we are cautious about our social responsibility. That's why, I said CSR versus ASR. CSR, you all know that, corporate social responsibility. But today I am talking about academic social responsibility. Part of that, all these courses we are introducing to say that country needs this kind of professionals, what Subramanian sir said, part of this academic social responsibility, whether join or not, it's immaterial, but in being a best law school in the country, we wish to inform that this kind of opportunities, this kind of courses are there. So we have a bent of mind that we don't look out of box only, like uh, course means law means LLB, LLM. No, not. There are many opportunities. These are all unexplored areas. That's why we designed these courses, keeping in view of multidisciplinary, issues in mind. This is the course which talking about technology. It is talking about management. It's talking about legal issues. All this. So that is our approach. Is multidisciplinary approach, and we also impart these courses through starting from the basics to again updating. So for example, most of the intake we get is coming from technical background, engineering background. So to begin with that, we have one solid paper, that is introduction to law. Why law, how law can be relevant to the respective sector, whether it is the air or defense or maritime, all. So like that, we have a defense management, defense acquisition. DPP is the one, Subramanian sir is involved. He teaches defense procurement policies and defense contracts. He was mentioning about all this part of the syllabi, and we are incorporated these things as a part of the subjects in our curricula. So that is I wish to inform that this is a multidisciplinary and approach, and we all cautious about that. And when it comes, defense opportunities, sir spoke about that, particularly last 6 7 years, so much is happening. Though India, we import more than 60% of our arms ammunition, no doubt, but today things are changing, and that's where the make in India, made in India, skill India, digital India, all these programs are part of these new initiatives, and major beneficiary is the defense sector. So though earlier it was government driven, state driven industry, but today what Subramanian sir spoke about, that it is moving from government driven, state driven to private participation is happening, and lakhs, millions of crores of rupees are going to invest in the private parts. But one question comes to me: do we have, like sir was mentioning, many legal policy regulatory issues in his talk, but any university in India impart this kind of courses is a doubt. Only we talk about defense means security or strategic studies we have, but unfortunately no university is touched, to my knowledge, subject to correction. Again, I am open to that. So we thought that we should give some knowledge which is a sort of gap filling sort of thing. That's why these courses are a combination of law, technology, law management, and more so with contemporary issues touching defense procurements, defense contracts, defense acquisitions, all these things part of the syllabi. So I think we will take up questions, and particularly Subramania sir and also moderator. So I'll answer if somebody has a specific question, but these are general remarks about the not only this defense course, defense and security course, but generally Nalsar courses. We are cautious about our academic social responsibility. That's why we offer these courses. Okay, taking or not, it's up to them. We don't insist. Being a public university, government university, we have limitation. But one thing I can tell you, all our courses are happening because of word to mouth publicity. People are doing, and they are telling their friends, and they are coming. Like that only courses are happening. So it's up to them, but giving information is our responsibility, what I feel, sir. So with this brief remarks, again, sir, hand over mic to you, sir. Naidu, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. And yes, there are some questions which have come, and I'm sure there will be many more because there's so much that information is available. Thank you for explaining that the university is a government university. There is nothing that should indicate to anyone that it's a private university, whether the degrees are recognized or not. You are following the UGC norms. I think we are at Nalsar, we are following all the UGC norms, and we are one of the highly rated university. There can be no doubt in anyone's mind. Yes, the academics social responsibility that you have been propagating for a while now. The defense forces get concession in the courses that are there. Probably you forgot to mention, or I missed out. I do not know. I thought you forgot, so I thought I'll just make a mention of it. As far as ladies and gentlemen, the questions and answer session is open now. And one question that I want to ask the general, and he may probably be able to, respond to this question is the internship opportunities, especially in the offset management part. Sir, there is a question from Anand Kumar. And trust me, offset management, as in the previous defense procurement policy, and now, of course, there have been many changes. This is a maze for an outsider. There are so many interlinking aspects, and unfortunately or fortunately, the Rafael controversy has actually made it more complex, probably, in my understanding. The general may please respond to this. How are the opportunities for people to do internship in the offset management in the defense MOD? Are there any opportunities, sir?
Thank you very much. I think it is definitely a very fine question. That is, the offset is the kind of an opportunity that we built it up from 2005 onwards. And we, in all our defense contracts, we had this offset clause. For all those items which are imported, a certain percentage based upon the size of the contract that we are having, if it is exceeding more than 300 crores, then a certain percentage of it will have to be done as an offset within that country. Moment it is to be done as an offset within that country, then what are the avenues for this offset? The avenues could be a kind of a material avenue in terms of physically manufacturing something. It could be a kind of a resource avenue by which you are actually giving some enabling provisions for which you can do that manufacture, or it could be an intellectual avenue by which you do a technology transfer. All these issues, when they are got implemented over many contracts, in some contracts, it worked out very well. In some of those contracts, they were used as a loophole, and by which some of the contractual obligations, what is intended and what got performed, became very different. And because of this issues, legal issues actually came up regarding compliance of offset, whether the offset was fully complied with, and whether the contract, main contract, is acceptable in the way in which offset contract is getting executed. How does it actually influence the main contract? All of them became issues. Progressively, we are now taking this view in the defense acquisition procedure that we will not be highly dependent upon this offset being discharged. Many of these foreign acquisitions will become a kind of a government-to-government acquisitions, and thereby some of these offset-related provisions will be treated very differently. And when Indian private sector actually comes in strategic partnership model, this kind of an offset kind of a question doesn't arise because it is about manufacturing in India, in Indian soil, and hence these things will not come. So that means for the past contracts that have been executed, which have got offset obligations, those offset obligations will run for another 8 to 10 years period. So anybody who is specializing in this offset and offset related issues is not just simply the offset provisions. You need to be aware of the SCOMET licensing one, because under the offset, whatever you are producing in this country, it gets exported to either European soil or an American soil. All SCOMET issues and all, everything, Wassenaar agreement, all of them kick in. So people who are connected with offset and specializing on this will definitely be busy for the next 10 to 12 years to come. But as I visualize that offset will not be here in the defense contract for the future, and it will increasingly start finding lesser and lesser mention for the future. But for the time being, offset is definitely a hot issue, and anybody who spends his time understanding this will understand a lot more about the defense industrial base and the legal issues which drive this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sir, this question is for Professor Balkeswar Reddy. There is one person who is saying, can I know the details of the courses? Of course, they are available on the website, but otherwise, if you can just give a broad view, sir, because there are so many courses, probably you can just explain. That's one question, and there is another question related to it. There is a lawyer from Mumbai. He is asking, how do I get opportunities to work with the law firms or defense sector companies as a lawyer? these two questions, if Professor Balkar Reddy can take up. So thank you very
Yes.
much.
Okay, sir. Yeah, though this information is available, but I said in my introductory remarks, we this is a 2-year course, 4 semesters actually. First 3 semesters are taught course like on-site online classes, and we have a like marking like 70-30%, 70% for examination and 30% for projects. So the moment once you join, then we will assign project, and our researchers, they will take care of your project work, and end semester will consist of 70 marks. That is one. So like semester wise breakup, if you look at every semester, we have a 4 papers. Begin with, I said, introduction to law. Then we have a defense technology and defense law. That's where the connection between law and technology. So law follows technology, or technological developments needs law. It is true with the defense science. That's why we have one complete paper on the defense law and defense technology. Then we have a paper on international, global institutions and defense related issues. Actually, that is the papers we have security related. Then second semester we have a defense management and strategic, studies, defense contracts and tenders. I mentioned defense. Other paper is defense procurement and defense laws in India. Of course, we have to connect everything to India, like what sir mentioning about various regional agreements, all those part of this thing. Then we have again regional security and global governance, and then terrorism, counter terrorism, how cyber law related to security and defense, and then lastly cyber security issues. Then final, these are all 3 semesters, each semester 4. So 3 plus 6 plus 6, 6 plus 12 papers. Then last semester is we have a dissertation. So that's the general pattern we follow. It's part of the UGC and distance education we follow. So Nalsar being a top rated university, we are the number one. I can say that so far we, whatever the NAC accreditation is there, out of 4 point, we have a 3.60 highest rated. So that's why Nalsar has given that status of offering any course. So that's where all these courses are coming to part of that this is a course. Of course, somebody was asking when contract classes will start. Yes, we are going to start classes October 2nd week onwards, because UGC has given a time extension. That's why we extended this. It may go up to end of this month, but we are going to have a classes mid-October, say mid-November, and then we will give sufficient time for projects and also examination, everything, because most of our takers, I can tell you, 40 to 45% of our intake is defense personnel. That's why we have a special concession for defense people. Not that we are giving some charity, but we are recognizing their efforts to the nation. That's why all the defense, our courses, defense personnel, defense people have a special concession, and maximum intake is from defense. So that's where I want to further again clarify, Naidu sir. So that's
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And Miss Lakshmi has already posted the web URL. So university's URL is available. University is available. The website is quite user friendly. I think it can be seen. Also, now Pranjal is thanking Balkrishna Reddy sir for the MALA team, Aviation Law and Air Transport Management course. He has joined and he has found it very interesting, innovative, and informative. And he has referred many friends, and they also joined. So thanks to Professor Balkrishna Reddy, he says. Thank you very much, Pranjal. I think it's a fantastic program. Now, sir, I for the general, I have a question, sir, from Dr. Anil Singh. He is requesting if you can briefly touch upon Rafale and the offset. Leave alone the controversy, but just to clarify quickly in brief, sir.
Okay. Rafale program, when it was signed for the 36 aircrafts to be supplied to the Indian Air Force, along with that, the offset was also worked along with us. This offset was not the conventional 30% offset. It was pitched as a higher offset, 50%. We could go for the higher offset because we were dealing with a very friendly country, France on the other side. France and India have had a very deep relationship in the past. They have worked in many strategic sectors. Our atomic energy benefited a lot from the France contribution. Our space programs also benefited immensely from that. France aerospace ecosystem is extremely well known. Dassault Aviation is a private company, but it is almost like a France public sector because France actually dismantled its public sector and gave it to private operators, but gave the pride of place for these private operators to become part of the Ministry of Defense. And hence the DGA that was formed in France actually had all these private manufacturers being part of the defense ecosystem, even in the decision making. And hence France government could influence the Dassault Aviation to a large extent to agree to the 50% offset contracts which are connected along with this. These offsets are connected with the direct ones which are being discharged by the Dassault Aviation. The ones which are the suppliers for the Dassault Aviation, like Safran, which is providing the engine portion of it, and hence a significant portion of this offset to be discharged by them. The electronics, the avionics in the Dassault aircraft, the Rafale aircraft, comes from Thales, and the Thales related offset shares, all of them are being separately done. The Dassault aviation related one was primarily aligned with the Reliance, Dassault Reliance Aerospace Limited, DRAL, that came into being. And that is now assembling the Falcon 2000 aircraft at the Nagpur facility, for which parts are getting manufactured within this country. As the people who are aware of the offset would be aware that not necessary that you got to be making Rafale parts. Anything connected with the aviation parts by which a technology comes into this country, their offset allows such kinds of things to be done. And hence, there will be a school of people who are connected with this offset will be working towards as to how to facilitate this DRAL to integrate this aircraft. The DRAL has got its own tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 suppliers, and all those suppliers will have to comply with the international laws, rules, regulations regarding raw material usage, regarding custody of classified information, regarding cyber security within them, SCOMET compliances, all of them that they've got to do. And they are now relying on these kinds of legal inputs which are coming from law centers which are centered around Bangalore, centered around Mumbai, and some of them centered around Delhi. So this is as far as the Dassault is concerned, while Safran, Thales are all contacting firms independently, and they are discharging their offset responsibilities for manufacturing of electronic components, radar-related components, some of those avionics-related components using various sources within this country, both public and private. And all of them also require a legal and compliance officers requirements, which Thales has engaged separately, Safran has engaged separately. I'm quite aware of many people who are working for all these portions. That's how this offset portion of Rafale actually spans out. Because of this offset, this country, I have seen, has benefited considerably in joining the global supply chain for aerospace. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Such a wonderful, narration of these things that have happened actually, because there are people who have a lot of, cobwebs in the understanding of this particular aspect. That yes, it is done well within the policy framework that has been laid out. With that, next question I would like to ask Professor Balkrishna Reddy for him, sir. This question is from I think Syed Samir Ali. He is asking how the defense laws can be fastly applied and implemented for international disputes so that there is more peaceful resolution.
How defense laws can be applied, implemented?
Yes, applied, yes, sir. Applied faster.
Hello?
Yes, sir, for faster resolution of the international disputes.
Okay. Sir, I didn't get, how defense laws can be applied, what is this question?
For resolution of international disputes, for peaceful resolution of international disputes.
Okay. Of course, we have two kinds of disputes, peaceful and coercive, compulsive. But today, most of the sectors, including the defense, we follow peaceful dispute settlement, including mediation, conciliation, arbitration. All these are all preferred method of settling the disputes in contemporary context particularly, and the defense sector is no exception. Of course, international, we have a dispute settlements mechanism in International Court of Justice also, but depend on jurisdiction. What one problem with these is most of these are security concerned internal issues. That's why we don't submit jurisdiction to international courts. So normally these disputes are settled through arbitration is the preferred method to settle the disputes. And most of these clauses, bilateral and regional agreements, they have a clause in dispute settlement. They go accordingly that it is a preset clause. So if future disputes comes, where to go? So they will decide, on that, and based on that, they will settle those disputes. So that is the general, dispute settlement mechanism applied in other corporates and including the defense sector. So that's the general.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. The next question is for the general. There is a question which says Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. This is from Noel. Bangladesh and Sri Lanka have tilted towards China for their military equipment procurement. Therefore, can it be said that India has failed to use its weapon exports as a tool of geopolitical power? General Subramanian, if you could address this question, sir.
Very interesting kind of a question, though of course it doesn't fall within the realm of the kind of a law and the portion that we are taking. There's some amount of political tinges there in this kind of a question, but I'll definitely, because that inquisitiveness, and we definitely help all the minds to address all issues which are connected with this. India chose to export defense equipment only for the past few years. We have not been exporting at all. In case you see the SIPRI reports, before 2018, India doesn't figure anywhere in the export at all. We were not even in the list anywhere because we were not exporting anything. Because our understanding was that we will not be exporting military systems. That was our stance as a nation. And we have now turning the military equipment manufacture as an economic activity which is contributing towards the national wealth. That concept has come about with the Make in India, with the Atmanirbharta, and with all the other issues which have come about, the threats to this nation and the kinds of problems that we have been facing, all of them have come about. And we have realized there is no way we can give high quality equipment to our armed forces without having a sustainable industry, and sustainable defense industry is possible only if customers are lined up, and those customers cannot come mostly only from Indian sources, and hence we have got to line up other countries, and hence export has been used as a strategy to build the defense technological ecosystem in this country, and thereby we have embarked on export system. And hence, we are emerging in military platform manufacture and supplying as a country exporting military system only for the past 2 years. And within those 2 years, we have made some significant contribution. In that one, countries like other neighboring countries, some of those large countries which are there, if they are leaning towards other countries who are not so very friendly with us, this is the situation which is obtained now, but very soon I am very confident with the rapid emergence of Indian defense technological prowess, we will provide weapon systems which will be much superior to anybody who can provide. Already in missiles, we are the masters. We can provide missile system. In radars, we are already the masters. And what radars that we can produce, no other country in the world can produce. We are the largest deployers of radars in this world. And very soon we will have air transported radars, which are very sensitive and very accurate. And hence, not that we would want to export. Countries will be lining up and we will be very soon telling, I will not give it to you and I will give it to only this country because of our larger relationship with them. Though, of course, you are seeing this as a temporary eclipse at this point in time. I'm very confident with the policies of the government and with the emerging private sector into this and the support that the public sector is actually giving to the whole thing, and also space being opened up, that India will emerge as a significant country for military export, but that will happen as a kind of a diplomatic barter, not just simply as business. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. You know, political and economic issues intermingled in that question. Definitely, yes. And you have nicely explained. Thank you very much. Professor Balkrishna Reddy and the General, Mr. VRC Faniharan is thanking you both for explaining in detail about the emerging areas of laws and courses being offered by Nalsar. Thank you, Faniharan. Sir, for Professor Balkrishna Reddy, this question, Syed Ali is asking one more question. He is wanting to know if there are any scholarships available and fee concession other than the military concession that we have talked about. Professor Reddy, if you could just.
Okay.
Thank
So, already, this comes under distance education. So we have a fellowship, scholarships, and other things for regular students like LLB, LLM. But these courses, being a distance online courses, we don't have any fellowships. That's the one thing. Concession is as per concession. I can tell you, I can challenge you. This is one of the cheap course. That's why if you look at my beginning statement, I said aerospace, defense, and maritime education at the doorsteps of the needy with affordable cost. I don't think 30,000 per PG diploma for 1 year, or 40,000, like 40 like 80,000 2 years course with reputed institution like Nalsar. It's not cost. Sir, I wish Naidu sir, you are part of the our system. Similar courses we used to they used to pay for 1.5 lakh. Now we reduced to 80,000.
Yes, I am privy to it, so I wanted you to say that. I know 1.5 lakh was minimum, and it was being sold at 1,20,000 at the least. So that's what.
But the reason why we reduced is normally everybody increasing fee, but unfortunately Nalsar is reducing is we want to see that this education percolated to the new
Fortunate, sir, not unfortunate. Fortunate that it is reducing the fees.
Yes, fortunately we are doing. Our intention is not to make money. Again, I am making as a registrar and part of the Nalsar. Our approach is to spread the education, whether aerospace, defense, or maritime. That's the reason why we reduced from 1.5 lakh to today 70,000 or 80,000. That. So and the kind of fees very reasonable. I don't think anything. But this is a policy. So we have already these are all done by academic council, executive council, and we are no fees concession. We have a concession relating to defense people and other things. So no fellowships again. Specifically, I want to tell you. But definitely, and one more thing I want to clarify is 80% of our intake is all job holders. Whether it is a defense or air or maritime, they know the value of these courses. That's why 80% of our intake is people who are working in the concerned ministries. They are part of that. That's why we never got like asking fee concession or fellowships. Never. But definitely, in future we will take this forward to our bodies concerned. If deserving candidate, definitely we want to help them. But first time we are encountering this kind of thing. And
yes,
I'll take
for the first. In fact, three years we have done the webinars. I think first time we are encountering such a questions.
Yeah, yes. Definitely, it's a very genuine, and we will take up that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for that offer. Smita is asking whether the recordings will be available. Yes, they will be available after the 5 sessions are over. We will put them on the YouTube. Nalsar YouTube will have these recordings.
And also our research assistant Lakshmi mentioned you out of 4 attend, you will get also Nalsar certificate. That is also very valid. If you attend 5 days, 4 days, 5 days thing, you will get a degree. Not for degree, but the kind of knowledge these experts are giving, that you have to attend the classes. Not for degree, but this kind of information. Sir has so much information. Though I am teaching, researching this subject for last 20 years, but still I am a learner today. Again, I am taking so many inputs from General Subramanian sir. So that's where you all, I request attend the seminars, webinars, and acquire knowledge.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We have 3 more tomorrow, day after, and the next day. Please do join us. And also, sir, this question is for the general. Once again, there is a question on the production of Tejas. I also want to add a little bit. If the general could explain, there is always a question on the defense, public sector units, DPSUs. how good they have been, how they have been contributing to the defense manufacturing sector. These delays in Tejas, are there any problems? Could you please explain this?
Okay, I have the Air Force officer, Group Captain Anand Naidu, actually asking me a question which is connected with an Air Force platform. But I will definitely try to answer this question. I am a person who is really proud of the Indian fighter program. Nobody gave us the flight loss. People gave us technology to integrate and assemble aircrafts in this country. We assembled some of the Eastern Bloc aircrafts, MiGs and the Sus. We also assembled some of the Western Bloc aircrafts, but nobody ever shared as to what all those flight laws which primarily govern the flight of a fighter aircraft. Fighter aircraft flight laws are considered one of the most secretive knowledge held by any nation, and no nation was willing to part with it. Even the friendliest of the nations were not willing to part with it. So that was the time that a group of us, that is the group of our elders, got together and they said that we will design our own fighter aircraft. We did not have any initiation onto this. We did not have the required knowledge onto this. We did not have enough test equipment onto this. We went through a process, initially a muddled process, and then subsequently supported process. It went through considerable amount of criticism, and this whole project went through major onslaughts by all foreigners who were wanting to sell aircrafts to us, and they were all afraid that if we succeed in this indigenous one, that we might stop buying aircrafts from foreign countries, and maybe that we will start making better aircrafts also. And hence they did all that they could to deny this technology to us. Against this great resistance, against the nation experimenting with its atomic initiatives in between, thereby attracting major sanctions from major countries. In spite of that, we have been able to develop our own flight laws, and we have been able to develop a delta wing platform, which is modeled on the high technology of a highly unstabilized aircraft stabilized to fly. Because that's what a fighter pilot wants. A highly unstabilized aircraft is very easy for maneuver, and that maneuver is the one which is the highest in the light combat aircraft. So this light combat aircraft, as it got developed, it had to undergo many flight tests. As we went through the flight test, the design had to be improved. Since it is our own design, we went about improving, and hence we have gone through a considerable amount of journey now to come where we have come. Now the country has decided that 83 aircrafts will be bought in the full formation, that is the full configuration. Simultaneously, we will be doing a Mark 1A, and also we will be doing Mark 2. While we are doing Mark 1A and Mark 2, based upon this knowledge, the advanced medium combat aircraft AMCA will also get developed. We are able to speak about all LCA Mark 1A, Mark 2 and AMCA, which is likely to be a 5th generation aircraft. And we are thinking, can we make it to the 5.5 generation? Can we go even to the 6th generation? All those things are possible because we mastered the flight control law. And that richness that the Tejas program has brought is a great wealth to this country. We will condone all the delays which have happened in the past. Now we will learn from all of them, and we will rapidly go about equipping. And I'm really looking forward to the time where our Air Force will be flying fighter aircrafts which have been designed and manufactured in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your word adds authenticity to the...
Just add to, sir, for general audience, it is a transfer of technology politics. Actually, transfer of technology between developing countries. They used to transfer technology but not know how. So this is the problems we used to face. What sir mentioning. And if you look at the cases like cryogenic engines in space technology, missile control technology regime in early 90s, we had a lot of problems, including we had agreement with former Soviet Union, Russia, and Russia denied the cryogenic engine supply. Then we went ahead and we came out with our own cryogenic engine, part of the GSLV program. And of course, later on, this is a violation of law, and Russia supplied 2 more cryogenic engines. Those are all different stories. But India proved that we are capable of doing that thing. And today, our GSLV program in space technology wonders because of indigenous thing. And sometimes this is a politics, international relations, linked with economic, political. There are other factors also we have to keep in mind. That is where Sir was mentioning, and it's a broader interest. Politics also plays important role in the technology transfer and technology related issues. Yes, sir. Naidu sir, go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, both of you. You have linked up things so very well. And to the general, yes, the word coming from you has more authenticity, more weightage. If I say, they would say, oh, this chap is an Air Force officer, is supporting the Air Force acquisition from the HAL, or our own public sector. But yes, it is one major step as far as our march towards the self-reliance is concerned, Atmanirbharta. I think it's a major step, as the general has explained. One more question again from Mr. Shivacharan to the general. He has a question asking any area which is supposed to be liberalized DPP. Is there any area which is supposed to liberalize DPP from DPP 2016 to 2020? Still any shortfalls or improvisation factors that need to be improvised in DPP 2020? This is what he's probably he's asking us, what are the changes you have explained, sir, in the previous answer. You have said that we have moved from offsets in future, probably that will be less and less. There are many other areas where there has been improvement, but he is asking you to highlight the major changes that have come from 2016 DPP to the present one.
Thank you very much for this question. Defense Acquisition Procedure 2020 is actually a greater growth over the motion that we set in, with Manohar Parrikar driving us towards the Defense Procurement Procedure 2016. I was fortunate enough to have worked on that Defense Procedure 2016, which was a major improvement over 2013, in which we brought in the concepts of the Indian designed and developed and manufactured, and we brought in the strategic partnership concept. And now the Defense Acquisition Procedure has done a major change by calling the procurement to acquisition, which is the right kind of a terminology which has been adopted. And it has taken it to the much higher levels with this, because Atmanirbharta has come into being, and that has been taken as the central point that will drive the Defense Acquisition Procedure. So many changes, many indigenous procurement, the reservations for the Indian private sector to participate, all of them have come about. But are there improvements? Yes, there are many improvements which are there, which we need to do on this. We need to be particularly looking at as to how to bring in the startup ecosystem fully into this defense manufacturing ecosystem. And while we are bringing this startup ecosystem, as to how do we move this research and development, which is predominantly happening in the government sector, to the private sector. How defense research and development needs to be incentivized in the process of acquisition. How do we actually cost and then factor these issues inside? They are all issues. And also the defense acquisition process as of now is being executed by a structure. Whether that structure is the structure that we are looking forward to when we are looking at the whole defense production ecosystem, or we need to have a separate defense acquisition agency, which must have technology components, which must have legal contractual components, which must have its own integral financial components, and it must have the export governance component. All of them integrated together is also being debated. And in case such a defense procurement organization comes about, then the whole DAP 2020 will undergo a major change when it will be revised beyond 2022. All of them are being thought about. Many areas are there. I'm sure that we will see as we go by. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Now, the questions that are there are like very interesting question. Syed Samir Ali is asking if he does a postgraduate course in future after doing one, can he go into the mission, moon mission and all that, man? So that's some imagination there, I think. So there's one more question, sir. We want to know the scope for construction management student in defense. Construction management student in defense.
Okay, I'm not able to get the term construction management. What is it primarily dealing with?
Sir, after the BE Civil or BTech Civil Engineering,
Yeah.
they do either post-graduation degree or a MTech or MS or a postgraduate diploma in construction management. Basically, they are mostly into the structural and other aspects of the construction.
Excellent. Anybody who is a structural person around here, he will be quite welcome into the defense organizations, because that structural person, if he actually gains certain legal knowledge along with this, then the structures and legal issues are definitely highly connected. And we are definitely wanting defense structures to be erected in such kind of places where there is a seismic immunity that is provided along with this, and also some amount of safety is provided, and it is abutting mountains, the way in which it is to be mounted onto this, all those things are to be seen. So anybody who has got this kind of a knowledge regarding kind of a construction management, combined along with the defense legal issues and other connected knowledge along with this, will definitely be a very niche area that he will be having specialty on. I'm sure that many of these private industries who are now establishing defense production entities would be looking forward to such people who have such ability. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
sir, added to sir, actually, that is the whole purpose of Nalsar. We want to build domain knowledge. You are civil engineer or computer engineer, whatever the background, people will apply, say with background. If somebody does this course, you have a domain knowledge, you have authority over other persons, where you have a edge. So whole purpose of Nalsar, these courses are, that is what, you have a basic, your degree, but added to that, if you want to join some industry, if you can, go through this course, whether it's a air or space or defense, you will be preferred than others. That is a whole, I think I am touching the, crux of the thing, what our purpose is.
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. And Katiravan is asking, what are the opportunities for the Indian national who completed masters and PhD abroad? What are the entry options? I do not know if there is any impediment for anyone who has completed master. Yes.
So I will answer, sir. I think today we are in a globalized world, and
Yes.
knowledge, no boundaries for as per knowledge is concerned. I wish to inform you that there is one agreement called GATS agreement, that's called General Agreement on Trading Services. All these services now part of that, and the modus operandi of these services sector, there are 165 services is part of that, including the defense. I wish to inform you that the cross border mode, person, both service provider and receiver sits in their place, but service happens through mail, fax, all those things, and you will get your remuneration through, again, transfer of money. So that kind of, opportunities are there today, and boundaries are becoming meaningless if you have a knowledge. Only thing is that you have to market yourself. People should know that, X is, having this kind of knowledge, then people will come to you. So that is where the, opportunities. I don't think, any boundary problems or, and territorial borders are impediments to your consultancy or knowledge sharing. So this is my view, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. There is one question from Ranganathan Haliur. He is asking, are there any opportunities for students like us, and can you guide us to follow? I think probably if he attended yesterday's session, he would have got the answer for this. Sagar was very nicely explaining how one can prepare and sell himself as a student to be, recruited by the recruiters. So I think you can probably Ranganathan can watch the YouTube video once it is uploaded, and he will probably learn. That way he can get to know that. That's what's and there are some more questions which are not very minor questions which have been answered as part of our discussion from time to time. one more. What are the major change in defense procurement policy that we are foreseeing with the implementation of theater command? So this is one question which has come from our own Lakshmi.
Okay, maybe General Sir will answer.
Additionally, would our efforts be towards maintaining the redundancy within the service assets or consolidating our resources? Two aspects. One is what are the procurement policy, how it is likely to be impacted by the theater commands. Will it be likely to be impacted? That's one. Two, would our efforts be towards maintaining the redundancy or consolidation because of the theater commands? Equipment vis-a-vis the theater commands.
Thank you very much, Lakshmi, for asking such an incisive kind of a question, because theatre command is primarily a kind of a concept.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. That question is posed by Rishi Gupta.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Rishi, for asking this question. Very incisive and a very wide understanding of the implications which are coming of the major policy decisions which are in the offing. We have been, as the nation matures, that is, we are just about reaching our 75th years of independence around here. So we are a very young nation that we have come this far now to think about a theatre command. So we are primarily theatre commands are thought about to bring about synergy amongst all the three services. That is, now it will very soon it will become the fourth service also, because the space itself will become a command, and the space command will become a kind of an issue. So probably the fourth services which will actually be looking at the land, the air, and the water. Apart from that, the space also will come about, and there is a talk that the cyber would also come out as a separate spectrum onto this. And when we combine all of them together, finally, when this nation is at peril, or when this nation's security gets threatened, that through this instrument, we must definitely deliver our point of reaction towards that adversity in the most effective way. For that, necessary that they must all weave together as one seamless unit for translating the will of that nation to be coming to bear at the point of application of that must be resulting out of this. And that's what the theatre command is all about. So theatre command underlying thing is a high amount of synergy, low redundancies which are happening because of duplications of resources amongst various services. And because of this, a lot of future technologies which are highly interoperable and cutting edge technologies which will be made use of. No disparities in technologies will be there. So the theatre command, will it impinge on this? Yes, but it will take a very long time for that to happen. So that means for the next 10 to 15 years, we will be going along in the direction in which we are going. But in future systems, we will talk about interoperability more and more on this. Because of interoperability, the technology requirements and technology content of all these will also increase. And hence, the theatre command, will it impinge? It will impinge. Will it change immediately? No, it will not change anything very immediately. In the long run, will it change? Yes, it will change. It will change for the positive. It will change for the good. And the production environment will change. And because of the production environment, the laws and various other paraphernalias which are surrounding that will also align along with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think Professor Reddy, sir, we are nearing the time. May I request
Yes,
you
sir.
to?
I know, sir, because I am with two, defense people. I can't go beyond the schedule. You people are so particular. There are some questions. We will, email to you all. There are questions. But thank you so much again, Naidu Garu, for excellent conduct on time. And I thank Subramanian sir, wonderful information which you have given. I thank all my again colleagues, Lakshmi, Ruchi, Irfan, Tariq, all they have done, wonderful work in conducting this thing. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you. You want to say any final word?
Thank you. Very much.
General has the final word.
Thank you very much for this. And it is a pleasure interacting with you all. That we had more than 200 participants. And even now, such a late time, we have got nearly about 170 participants online. Actually speaks well. Thank you, Rupi Anand Naidu, for conducting this session so well. Thanks to Dr. Balakisha Reddy for giving a platform for us to interact along. And I wish all those who are listening a very happy time and a very bright future ahead. Looking forward to interacting with you all. Thank you, Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you all participants. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Professor Reddy. Jai Hind, sir. Thank you so much for such an informative session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.